Senate Democrats are declaring victory over Republican Senator Ted Cruz. They say his marathon speech was just a waste of time as the deadline for Obamacare approaches.
On the other side, Cruz's supporters say he got America's attention. And now more people are talking about the true costs of Obamacare. Here's reporter Charlene Israel.
He stood for 21 hours and 19 minutes. And while Senator Ted Cruz's speech did not stop a Senate vote, his fight against President Obama's health care law did capture the nation's attention.
We're going to stop this train wreck. Together, we need to make D.C. listen.
Over the next few days, the Senate will amend the House spending bill. And there's no doubt the attempt to defund Obamacare will be stripped out. But then, with only days before the October 1st deadline, the bill will head back to the House.
The House has to decide whether they're just going to pass it as is or whether they're going to try to put something back in, whether it's defunding, a one-year delay.
Even if there's a government shutdown, health insurance exchanges will kick in on Tuesday. That's because core parts of the health care law are funded through money that's already been set aside. The Obama administration just released a glowing report that says prices will drop.
When people look and see that they can get high quality, affordable health care for less than their cell phone bill, they're going to sign up.
But researchers at the Manhattan Institute explain in Forbes that the report is misleading. They found that the Department of Health and Human Services only compared rates to their own original predictions for 2016. But even when using the government's own questionable numbers and limited data, rates are actually expected to spike next year. Under the cheapest plan, rates will go up by 97 to 99% for younger men ages 27 to 40, and 55 to 62% for younger women ages 27 to 40.
This law is a train wreck.
Those rising cost estimates are also supported by a new Medicare and Medicaid report. It found that the Affordable Care Act will raise health spending in the U.S. by $621 billion over the next decade. Charlene Israel, CBN News.
Well, if you want to see Obamacare go away, all we have to do is let it go into action. It will be exactly viewed as what the Supreme Court said it was, one of the biggest tax increases in the history of the United States. And when people in that age group that you just saw see the increases in their health care costs because they're now being averaged in with people who are much older, who have expensive health care needs, we'll see a change. But for me, what's been lost in this whole thing is the debate over the deficit. We've got $17 trillion in debt, and we seem to be bent on adding to it every single year with no end in sight. And until we get to a balanced budget and then to a budget surplus, we have no hope of paying this off. That's a train wreck none of us can afford, and I wish the debate were focused on that. Well, in other news, an American citizen has been held captive in Iran for an entire year, all because he's a Christian. And today, Christians across the country are rallying for his release. John Jessup has that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
That's right, Gordon. Today marks 1 year since American Pastor Saeed Abedini was thrown into an Iranian prison. He is serving an 8-year sentence because of his Christian faith. He has been tormented and has suffered beatings, physical pain from untreated medical conditions, and separation from his wife and 2 young children. Still, Pastor Abedini's wife, Naghmeh, reports he has led more than 30 prisoners to Christ while behind bars. This week, Naghmeh came face-to-face with the president of Iran in New York at the United Nations. She hand-delivered a letter pleading for her husband's release. Today, thousands of Americans from coast to coast are praying for just that. Events are being held in 40 states at capitals, city halls, parks, and churches. An American forensic team is helping Kenyan investigators figure out how the terrorists pulled off that deadly mall attack in Nairobi. Reports indicate the terrorists had set up a store inside the mall where they designed their plan and stashed weapons. Meanwhile, Somali leaders in the U.S. say young men are still being recruited to join al-Shabaab from America. Since 2007, at least 22 young men have left Minnesota to join the terrorist group. Unconfirmed reports show 2 more left earlier this month to join the jihad. A standoff with Muslim rebels in the Philippines has become a humanitarian crisis. Those rebels tried to take over the city of Zamboanga. More than 120,000 Filipinos have been displaced and 10,000 homes destroyed in 2 weeks of fighting. Despite the volatile situation there, staff and volunteers from CBN Disaster Relief are helping residents who've been terrorized. The CBN team is giving aid, including food, trauma counseling, and therapy for the children. They're even playing games with kids and showing them the animated series Superbook to help them feel a sense of normalcy. Going directly into harm's way, Gordon, that's what Operation Blessing does, and that's what CBN supporters help to fund.
That's right, John, and that's Operation Blessing Philippines is getting ready to celebrate 19 years of bringing help and hope to people in the Philippines. All of that made possible because 700 Club members were faithful to give. And they call it the peace offensive against terrorism, to go into these hard areas and bring food, bring relief, bring counseling, bring care, bring medical care, even to the rebels involved, to try to convince them that this isn't the way to go. So it's thank you. If you're a member of the 700 Club, thank you. You're part of that relief effort.